Showdown at Warg-Tooth Crossing, Chapter 15. The remains of Kale's supper sat cold on his tray, placed on the chair that Eris had left outside the cell bars. Kale had barely touched it. He didn't feel all that hungry. The one rat that kept Kale company was trying his best to get up the chair, but was so far unable to figure it out. Kale wished him luck. There wasn't anything more to look at in the jailhouse. It was dark outside now, and only a few candles provided any light. Driscar, who was watching him now, fidgeted about with nothing to do after eating his own supper. He put another log on the fire, walked around a bit, then sat again cursing to himself. Everyone was just waiting. When the door finally burst open, Driscar reacted with a start and nearly fell out of his chair. Kale looked up, almost relieved. Barth walked in, followed by Eli, who closed the door hard behind him against the wind. They both knocked snow off their coats and stamped their feet. Puddles started forming where the snow hit the floor. The rat gave up his pursuit of Kale's supper, for now. Barth told Driscar to get the keys to the cell, then indicated Eli should go to the cell bars. "Turn around, Kale," Barth commanded. "We're going to tie your hands behind your back." Kale got up and turned as ordered, presenting his arms back to Eli. "We going somewhere?" he asked. "Yep," Barth said. "My trial?" "Something like that." Eli finished tying Kale's hands, then Driscar opened the cell lock. "Get him his coat," Barth said to Driscar as they guided Kale out of the cell. "He ain't gonna need it," Driscar stated. "Get the goddamn coat," Barth growled, and Driscar hurried to the pegs where it hung. Eli draped the coat around Kale's shoulders. "I'm much obliged," Kale said, "but do you mind if I have my hat too?" Barth looked at Driscar, who tossed the hat over. Eli set it on Kale's head, and they went to the door. "Good riddance, asshole," Driscar shouted as they stood on the threshold. Kale walked on between the two men, his head leaning into the wind. They plodded through the snow in the street, and Kale was somewhat curious when they walked past the horny toad where he had expected they were headed. As they kept on, they ended up before the livery stable, and Eli opened the door while Barth held Kale. They walked in out of the wind. The horses neighed and rustled a bit, but otherwise it was quiet. The torch that Eli had been carrying was placed in a sconce on the wall, and the shadows danced among the stalls. "This where we're holding the trial, Barth?" Kale asked as they put him in a stall with his back to the wall. "If you want to call it that, Kale," Barth muttered. "Eli, give me your sword." "Huh?" the fighter replied. "Give me your damn sword. I don't want to have to clean mine. Now." Eli drew his sword and handed it hilt first to Barth. Barth held it up in front of Kale. "Any last words, Kale?" Kale shook his head. He unconsciously strained to reach up to rub his ticking eye. Then through force of will he focused and slowly bent his knees and put his weight on the balls of his feet. He was unarmed and bound, facing two men, but be damned if he was going to just let them cut him down. When Barth struck, he would make his move. Barth took a step back and brought his arm back for a thrust. He held there for a moment in the flickering torchlight. Then, quick as he could, he pivoted towards Eli, and before the man could react, he thrust the sword through the side of his chest. Kale jumped in spite of himself and took a moment to process what he was seeing. Eli reached around to his side in a futile effort to try to pull out the sword. Barth let go and gave him a slight push. Eli's eyes rolled back and he pitched over, dead before he hit the ground. "Unruly son of a bitch," Barth cursed as he spit onto Eli's corpse. Barth looked up at Kale, who rapidly stared between Barth and the dead man on the ground. Barth said in even words, "Kale, if you value your life, I need you to listen carefully. You listening?" Kale nodded. "I asked if you were listening." "Yes, God's sakes, yes. Because if you screw this up, you're going to get me killed too, and I'm already way out there." Barth shook his head. "No matter, I'm in it now." Barth paused. "Okay. Your horse is 2 stalls over and saddled, and your gear is in the stall with him. I'm going to cut you loose. Then I need you to hit me as hard as you can, preferably knock me out. then ride the hell out of here. I'm going to cut your ropes now. Turn around. Kale looked long into Barth's eyes, then turned around, looking back over his shoulder. Barth took out his spare dagger and sliced Kale's bindings. They fell to the ground, and Kale rubbed his wrists. What the hell, Barth? I ain't got time to explain, Kale. Just take what I'm giving you and don't screw me by getting caught. Now come on, get your gear. Kale followed Barth to the stall, and Barth brought the torch over. Kale put his ringmail on under his coat and buckled on his dagger and sword. Thankfully, his trusty crossbow was there as well, and he strapped it on his back with its harness. How the hell are you going to explain this, Barth? He asked, as he led Raider out of the stall. It's pretty simple. Eli was going to escape with you. His horse is saddled yonder, and he had your gear ready. He held me at bay while he freed you. He knocked me out. Then you must have killed Eli in a double cross, with his own sword even. That's pretty shaky. Why the hell would Eli help me? I almost killed him. They'll find a bag of gold in his gear. That will confuse things for a while. Yeah, confusing that I wouldn't take it. Bull's pretty smart, Barth. He'll figure this out. Maybe. I figure my day was coming sooner or later anyway. Leastwise, this is one less thing to regret. Now do what you need to do and get riding. Barth stood with his chin out and squinted in anticipation. It was good riding with you, Barth. Kale wound up and connected to the sweet spot on Barth's jaw just below the ear. Barth fell like a sack of potatoes in a pile of hay. Excuse me. Barth fell like a sack of potatoes in a pile of hay and was still. Kale checked him and confirmed he was breathing, but out cold. Kale made to get into the saddle, then had another thought. Leaving Raider by the door, he gathered up 6 of the other horses, then pulled them by their reins. Kale got in the saddle now and led the other horses behind him. In the snowy wind, he led them quickly down the road and out of town, up north across the bridge. He ran them to get them worked up, then let them go down the road and across the fields. Kale turned Raider off the road and felt his way back to the river in the snowy dark. Any tracks he managed to make would be impossible to see from the road, and in any event, would soon be covered in snow. He saw the bridge barely to his left, then very carefully led Raider down to the river. He could already hear agitated noises from the town coming through the wind. They would be looking for him shortly. There was a layer of snow on top of the iced-over river. He didn't know how thick the ice was. It had been cold for a while, but he had to get to the other side. Taking his weight off Raider by dismounting, he led the skittish horse onto the snow-covered ice. Ominous groaning and the occasional crack made his heart jump, but they made it across to the town side again. Turning away from the bridge, Kale led Raider along the shore, but down the slope to stay out of sight. He could hear horses and men crossing the bridge now, but he kept leading Raider further into the snow. When he'd gone what he figured was far enough, he tied Raider to a tree branch out of sight. Oh boy, I'm going to have to leave you. Okay, boy, I'm going to have to leave you here for a bit, he said softly to soothe the horse. I will be back soon. He patted Raider on the nose and held him against the wind. Now don't go anywhere, he admonished as he climbed the bank of the river and worked his way south to the town. He could just make out some of the lights of the town. Orienting himself, he headed for Eris's house. Reaching it, he knocked on a back shutter. Nothing happened, so he rapped it even harder. Eventually the shutters opened, and Eris's head poked out, complete with the bandage. He was carrying a candle that he tried to cup from the wind. It blew out immediately, and he strained to see into the snowy dark. Eris, it's me, Kale, Kale said. Let me in through the shutter. Kale, started Eris. What are you doing here? Long story and no time. Let me in. Eris backed away, then reached a hand to help Kale climb in through the window. Eris latched the shutter against the cold wind and brought Kale over to the fire. Kale pulled up short as he saw Quinn sitting there. What the hell is she doing here? Kale asked Eris. News of your escape hit the Toad right away, Quinn came over here to talk to me about options. Options? That's right, options, Quinn stated as she turned to face Kale. Options for what? Kale inquired. Options to deal with Bull, Kale, Eris answered. He's become somewhat destabilized and dangerous for the girls. Quinn fears that your escape will make that worse. How did you escape anyway? Quinn heard that Barth was going out to kill you. Barth let me go. No shit, Quinn exhaled. No shit, Kale nodded. Well, that puts an interesting wrinkle on it, Quinn mused, to say the least. He made it look like I overpowered him and killed Eli. Bull is pretty smart, Quinn said. He'll figure it out. Kale shrugged. He certainly will if you tell him. I'm not telling him anything, Kale. She looked hard at Kale, who returned her stare, trying to figure out if he could trust her. Why did you come back anyway? Eris asked. Kale walked up to the fire and warmed his hands in front of it. Then he rubbed his beard pensively. After a while, he said, I should have ridden out of here a while ago. I should have done it before I killed Doug. I should probably do it now, but I have had enough of Bull and the Steel Crew and the shit this town has to take. It all comes down to the Somat. Now you, he pointed at Eris, know a lot about plants. If there was no more Somat, there'd be no more problem, and I know exactly where they grow it. Eris and Quinn looked at each other and back at Kale. What are you suggesting? Kale asked. You have anything I could use to kill off an entire field of Somat mushrooms? 'Cause if you do, I'll take it down there and stop the whole operation right now. If the supply of Somat is gone, then the Steel Crew is finished. Well now, let me think, Eris pondered, while pacing about excitedly. You'd need some kind of potent water-soluble antifungal. I might have something for you, but you would need to introduce it into the water supply right where they irrigate their field. And isn't it too cold right now? Wouldn't everything be frozen? I remember that field. It was totally covered. Maybe they protect the crop from the cold. I mean, the boys just went down for another run, right? And it's been cold for a while. They must still crow them somehow. Okay. This might work. Eris bustled around the back, picking up various vials and ingredients. I have enough components on hand to put together enough powder to render an entire medium-sized field toxic, at least to mushrooms. I'll need a few minutes to get it together, and it'll weigh about 2 pounds and fit in a pouch like this. Eris held up a wineskin-like pouch. Will that do for travel? Sure. You'll have to be careful not to breathe any of the powder. Also, you must slowly get it into the water at the exact irrigation source. Yeah, that's fine. I just haven't figured out how I'm going to get to it. I have to make it through the Scaly village first. Kale rubbed the bridge of his nose and knitted his eyebrows. Too bad I can't come with you, Eris said. I could cast an illusion that would scare the daylights out of them. While they were distracted, you could drop in the toxin. Maybe you can, Kale said. What do you mean? Eris asked. I mean, the wizards I used to work with during the war could take a spell and fix it to an object. Then anybody using the object in the proper way could release the spell. Didn't always work, and never worked as good as if the wizard were there, but it was still something. Of course, Eris snapped his fingers. Object enchantment. I have a tome that gives directions for that somewhere around here. Eris began thumbing through his library. I should be able to give you something. Not great, but something. Okay, fine, but focus and get moving. I distracted the crew by leading the horses north, but they'll return soon enough. I want to be on my way south as soon as I can. And by the way, I'm going to need some supplies for myself and Raider. Help yourself, Eris called over his shoulder as he went into the back to start mixing ingredients. While Kale started rooting around for supplies, Quinn asked, Do you really think this can work? I have to try, Quinn. More people are going to die here if we don't do something. You think you're really making a difference? Kale stopped and looked over at Quinn, then said, Maybe. Have you stopped to think what Bull will do when he finds out you wiped out the Somat supply? He will be mighty angry, even angrier than he is now. He's already hurt one of the girls. It's why I came here tonight to see if Eris can help somehow. I would have no problem taking my chances with Bull, one-on-one, but there are two problems. He has that goddamn ring, and a crew of 24 men backing him up. Actually, Eris called from the back, I may have found something to help with that. Help with what? Kale called back. The ring. I was looking up its properties in one of my tomes. Actually, I was looking up the properties of the spell it casts. Very interesting research has been conducted on the confluence of magical force and natural philosophy. There is some experimentation into... Eris, we don't have time right now. Yes, of course, my apologies. Are you saying you can come up with a way of defeating Bull's ring? Quinn asked, walking over to where Eris was bustling about. Eris looked up briefly from his work. Theoretically, yes. Gods above, Eris, theoretically won't stop me from being roasted, Kale exclaimed. Well, let me work on it. I mean, it will take you some time to go down to the Toth village and return, will it not? Yes, at least 2 days there and 2 days back, especially in this weather. Plus, I have to avoid any patrol they send out from here, not to mention the group they send south to trade for the Somat. You'll easily have 4 days, Kale said, assuming I even make it. Well, here you go, Kale. Eris came back from the room carrying the wineskin bag from before, tied tightly with twine wrapped around. Now let me see about the other problem. He thumbed along the spines of the tomes he had on a shelf till he found the one he wanted, and brought it out. I think you're forgetting something else, Quinn brought up. What's that? Kale said, as he packed the last of the supplies. This was going to be a damned hard ride, he thought. You said there were two problems with taking Bull on one-on-one. The ring was one problem, but his 24 men is the other. I don't know, Quinn, Kale sighed as he pushed his bundles to the doorway leading to the back. Given what I have to do in the next few days, I feel like I can't think that far in advance. Oh, that part is easy, Eris said, glancing up from looking through the tome. That is, if Quinn is willing to help. Help how? Quinn asked. Sleeping potions are the easiest thing in the world to make. The question is, can you get it into their drinks, especially all at once when we need it? Kale paused by his supplies. Eris stopped reading, and they both looked at Quinn, who pursed her lips and looked off into space. After a moment, her gaze returned, and she said, I'll make it happen. At this point, I don't think I have a choice. Okay, Eris nodded, then went back to reading. Kale walked up to Quinn. It would probably be easier for you just to tell Bull our plan. Maybe, but it's all gone too far. Bull is just as likely to kill one or more of us eventually anyway. Just get the damn job done. We'll somehow take care of things here until you get back. I will. Kiss for good luck? Sure, soldier, you're going to need it. Kale took Quinn in his arms and gave her a long, passionate kiss. As he pulled back, Eris coughed to interrupt. Excuse the interruption, but can you folks just stay very still and very quiet for a moment, please? Eris took a small, smooth stone from his workbench, then smeared a little ash on it from the fireplace. He then began to gesticulate and speak a language that twisted the mind. Kale felt his head start to ache, and then a small pop seemed to come from between his ears, and the tension stopped. Kale couldn't be sure, but he thought that for a moment the room was filled with green and flaming orange, but then it was gone. There you go, Eris said as he handed Kale the stone. You don't have to do anything special. When you're ready, just throw it hard at the ground and the spell will release on its own. Just be sure that the direction you throw it in is the direction you want the illusion to project. Kale took the stone and stowed it securely in a pocket on his tunic underneath his mail. He walked back to the shutter in the back, carrying his supplies, being careful with the bag of powder. He looked back at Eris and Quinn standing in the room and said, If I'm not back in 5 days, then I didn't make it. Time for you guys to get a different plan. Eris and Quinn looked at each other briefly, then back at Kale. He was already half out the window and into the snow.